peapod with these folks. And Ron Paul is turbocharging, obviously, and is really in second place. And after Newt Gingrich is destroyed, who's left? Ron Paul. They've already tried to destroy him. And he's going to end up getting more delegates in Maine than he would have gotten in Florida, which is winner take all. So that's why he's not focusing on Florida. Loves Florida, cares about Florida, but he also knows the fix is in down there. I mean, you guys are as famous as Illinois. And I'm not knocking Florida. Beautiful, great state. Hey, LBJ was fixing elections in Congress in the 40s here in Texas. So we're bad, too. It's just Florida has been caught over and over again, like Ohio and Illinois. I mean, it's been proven to have so much fraud it'll make your head spin in elections for a long time. That Florida takes second place in election fraud after Illinois. But here it is. MF Global's missing $1.2 billion, probably just vaporized. And the feds know it was wired to J.P. Morgan. They know, it was in the news at the time that, oh, yeah, it was sent over to J.P. Morgan, but we're going to get some of that back. And then now the media, the Congress, everyone plays dumb. When you wire $1,000, the feds know where it goes. It's all tracked. When you wire $10,000, a criminal investigation report is filed. When you deposit that, it is reviewed. Suspicious transaction. But you're going to believe that $1.2 billion is wired to England, the lion's share of it to the division of J.P. Morgan Chase. This came out in Forbes, AP, Bloomberg. This came out 2 days after it broke. And then now everyone's acting stupid. Oh, we don't know where the money went. We don't know where. Oh, we found it. You're going to get it back. Just don't sue us. Just wait. Just let us have the congressional hearings. Corzine gets up and says, I know nothing as CEO. I have no idea. And the head of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange goes, I'm not going along with this. He was there. He gave the orders. We were concerned about it. And we're on the phone when the decision was made on this date. And you see all the lawyers around him going, looking at him like, oh, a hit team's coming for you, pal. I mean, the point is this is getting really chutzpah, naked, bravado-filled. They're getting really wild. I mean, this lunatic Corzine was making 40-to-1 bets with other people's money. And according to Max Kaiser, who's got incredible sources, he called Iceland 2 years before it happened. You know, he runs in these circles, worked for many years with George Soros' son. He said he talked to the sources, and they said that the head of J.P. Morgan called up Corzine and said, look, you're dead if you don't give us that money. And that's how these guys in the past have worked. These are gangsters. They run the country. They run the military. They run it all. And they're like, look, you gave us our money or it's over. So he went and took people's private bank accounts. And now New York Magazine, all of them are like, well, nobody knows. Just forget it. You're not getting it. Because Papa J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs is reportedly involved in there as well. The bankrupt brokerage firm MF Global still can't account for some $1.2 billion in customer funds, but an ongoing investigation imagines that a significant amount of the money vaporized during the company's crashing and burning. Oh, just went into the end of the rainbow as a golden pot somewhere. If you know the leprechaun password, he'll give it to you. Here's another one. Money from MF Global, feared gone, Wall Street Journal. This is the naked, lawless, out-of-control garbage that we're dealing with. And these crook bankers are shutting down all the small banks with the regulators they control, taking over our economy, getting tax incentives to move offshore, getting bailout money to move businesses and factories overseas, everything. And what's the only growth area? FBI, federal marshals, police, TSA, armies of intelligence agents, spies to go after the American people. They are arming up against us. Now, I want to go to a special report we've got here. And then we're going to come back from break and get into sodium fluoride. But you know, last March, the legislature in Arkansas passed a law saying cities are passing laws when they see the medical evidence that fluoride gives you cancer and brain damage. We're just going to pass a law that you've got to take fluoride. We're going to put it in your water by law. Now, New Jersey has passed a law doing this. New Jersey Assembly panel passes bill to add fluoride to public supply. And now they've got reports out of Michigan that they're going, and other states, they're going to shut down and not let you use your own well. I mean, folks, these are control freaks. Going after the Amish, going after the Girl Scout cookies, going after the lemonade stands all over the country, going after tomato sellers, pecan sellers, people selling jam. The mafia says, you don't do jack without our approval and paying us a cut. You go to a big box store and get something made in China with melamine in it for your kids. FDA says it's good for them. Radiation levels have gone up. They had another reactor. The AP is reporting released more radiation. Not even an issue. We raise the level. We say it's safe. Because the mafia says it's safe. And we're taking your bank account. In fact, I saw an article last week. I didn't even cover it. Government raids federal pension funds. I even forgot to print that. I forgot that. It's coming in so fast, I can't even cover it anymore. Do you understand this? They are going for broke, stealing everything. All you cops, FBI, the rest of you, when they're done, you're going to have nothing as well. Remember that. But you'll still have your little authority and your power trip. Now, here's a part of the report. We're going to hear an expanded version with Darren McBreen with us live in studio tonight, 7 o'clock Central at Prisonplanet.tv. This is Darren McBreen, our reporter, out talking to local Austinites about aspartame, the defecation of a bioweapons bacteria produced by the Pentagon in 1963, that they finally got approval after 3 rounds in 1979 with Monsanto when they bought Searle. And it is an addictive excitotoxin that causes brain damage, pancreatic cancer, you name it. It breaks down into formaldehyde in the bloodstream. But it's very addictive. Most poisons are addictive. Arsenic's addictive. And so here's his report. We're going to have an expanded part 2, and Darren in studio with us this evening. Here is that report, and then we're going to skip this network break. We're going to continue with the forced fluoridation, and again, the forced inoculation laws now finally going into place. They always ran the hoax. It was the law. Now that people are standing up, taking their cities back, the globalists are like, no, 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 no. You're going to drink our toxic waste. Here's the report on aspartame.
Thousands of popular diet and sugar-free foods and beverages contain an artificial sweetener that researchers say may cause cancer. The ingredient is aspartame, and it is by far the most dangerous substance on the market that is added to our foods. Aspartame is an artificial sweetener found in thousands of products worldwide, and chances are you are consuming it. It's added to sugar-free gum, juice beverages, tabletop sweeteners like Equal and NutraSweet. It's in cereals, soft drinks, yogurt, breath mints, multivitamins, wine coolers, and even over-the-counter medicines. The toxic long-term effects of aspartame are often dismissed as a hoax by the sweetener industry. However, numerous independent controlled studies using human subjects have concluded that aspartame is deadly. Now, there's a number of studies that claim that aspartame is completely safe to consume, but the vast majority of those studies were conducted by, well, you guessed it, the aspartame industry. In fact, groups like Monsanto, J.D. Searle, and ILSI concluded that aspartame posed no health risk. But that's about as credible as Marlboro, Camel, and Winston, dismissing the link between cigarette smoking and cancer.
Tastes good like a cigarette should.
Have you heard of aspartame?
Yes, I've heard of it before.
Have you heard good things or bad things?
I hear mostly bad things about it.
What kind of bad things?
Just like it's an artificial sweetener and it's bad for your health and you should try to stay away.
I've heard it's an artificial sweetener and I'm guilty of drinking beverages sweetened with it. However, it degenerates and it does harmful things.
What do you think about aspartame?
I don't like it. It gives me headaches.
They did studies on rats,
It supposedly causes cancer.
Even Fox News recently reported in 2005 that artificial sweeteners had been linked to a wide range of cancers after studying involving rats. So these rats actually had tumors the size of golf balls. So does that concern you when you hear stuff like that?
Greatly, yes. And the FDA is supposed to be protecting us from things like cancer, not giving it to us and telling us it's safe.
You cannot go to the grocery store now and buy any type of even regular sugar gum that hasn't had aspartame added to it. In the 1970s, Searle tried to get it approved, and they couldn't. It took them 3 separate times. Because in their own studies with monkeys, large portions of them that were fed it died and contracted cancer. Now we have mainstream news articles, and the EU has done a major study finding lower birth weights, early birth, and yes, miscarriages from women that drink aspartame-laden soft drinks like Coke Zero.
Do you think that aspartame should be on the market today?
No.
Why not?
Because it hasn't been demonstrated to be safe.
The FDA looked at the research and in 1975 put aspartame's approval on hold. It set up an independent panel of doctors to study aspartame. In 1980, that public board of inquiry unanimously ruled aspartame should not go on the market. Edith was drinking a cup of low-calorie hot chocolate that night. Aspartame made it sweet. And Johnson says aspartame made her sick.
All of a sudden, I couldn't see. My eyes went out of focus, and it was like my vision became quite blurred.
And you think it's because of aspartame?
I think it's very deliberately because of aspartame, yes.
It was terrifying.
Kate Randall thought she was going crazy.
I started popping in my hands and twitching in my feet, my legs, my knees, my upper legs, and shoulders and arms and everywhere.
Many of these individuals who have been aspartame reactors have tested themselves 5, 10, 20 times. Every time getting the same response, and then they realized that this was a legitimate cause and effect relationship.
What is aspartame? It is the fecal matter of the E. coli bacteria. They took it and genetically engineered it. They can feed it toxic waste, and then it defecates aspartame. And it has so many bad health effects, it's just unspeakable.
How do you think a product like that was managed to be approved by the FDA?
Oh, I think there's loopholes to everything.
I say shut the FDA down, shut down any government agency that's not doing its job.
Would you think that possibly the FDA is corrupt?
I'm going to go ahead and say no. I trust the FDA with my health.
Do you think there's a chance the FDA could be corrupt?
About as big a chance as any other part of our government.
Now, the FDA approval of aspartame was highly contested and subject to multiple congressional hearings and scientific criticism. In fact, aspartame was continuously rejected by the FDA for over 15 years until it was finally approved in 1981. Since that time, the FDA has published a list of 92 symptoms of aspartame poisoning, which includes headaches, vision loss, including blindness, seizures, neurological problems, cardiovascular problems, and death. The FDA even admits adverse reactions to aspartame comprise about 80% of consumer complaints it reaches each year. Yet the dangerous substance remains on the market and is consumed by millions of people every single day. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News.
All right, great job from Darren on that front. We're going to get into fluoride being forcibly out of the water here in a moment. But just expanding on this, you notice in the last 5, 6, 7 years, something big has happened. All of these companies have come out with stevia or other artificial sweeteners, and they advertise, and most people now try to bypass aspartame. So what did the aspartame makers do? They proliferated. It is in most sugar candy. Read the back. It is in chocolate bars. It is in almost every form of sugar gum. I know I've got children, and I go to the grocery store, and you cannot find it without it. It's in most of the